But that's I was just like that's probably why it's never been this cool.
Sweet.
Like, it doesn't seem real, does it?
No.
It's real.
Nice. All right, welcome back to the Shopcast. That's how we started from here on out. Well, it's been a while. We've been busy with a lot of things. I've been on the road a little bit. I was actually in Hawaii for a while. But back now, and we are here today. Sevilla is going to be my co-host from here on out. So
In the house.
you get to hear and see her much more. And then we got Patrick Ayres here today, another resident artist here at the shop who moved in. How long have you been here now?
May was my first month.
Okay.
May 5th,
been a while,
right
right?
after your show.
Yeah, I remember I came
Oh,
back from
that's
Mexico.
right.
Yeah.
I came back right from Mexico, and you were like just there, and I was like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, just appeared, materialized,
Yeah.
as I do.
That was funny. Yeah, it was our art show. You were moving in during our art show, which we blocked off all the studios, so he couldn't even get into his studio the first
It was a warm
weekend.
welcome. It was what I needed.
And here we are again, just to do a quick plug right at the beginning here. C is going to be having her very first painting debut show here at the shop this weekend, October 8th through 11th, right? No, 10th.
10th, yeah.
And, yeah, so if you're in the Monterey area, make sure to go to the shopmonterey.com, get your tickets. Friday is already pretty much sold out, so you missed out on the opening night, but get in for Saturday. There's going to be mimosas in the morning, and it's just going to be a good time. So
Yeah, we'll still be here Saturday, so get your tickets and just in time to block your studio space all over again.
I know.
Yeah, it'll be great. That's how it goes. And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
But here today, we're going to be talking with Patrick about his journey. He carves jade and a bunch of different rocks into amazing jewelry. If you haven't seen his work, definitely follow the Jade Road on Instagram and check out his work, and then you can see it here directly in at the shop. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on, and
Thanks for having me, both of you.
tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, what got you into the jade carving first and foremost?
Well, I guess it goes back a little bit. I was always like into stones and rocks growing up. Just easy fun, you know, picking up stuff and wondering what it was. And so that was just, I guess, rock hounding, you know,
Okay.
not really like any direction on it. And then I started getting into trouble later on in life and needed like a better outlet. I couldn't leave Monterey County, so like Big Sur's still in Monterey County, and someone was like, "Hey, I got this stone. Like my dad found it, or whatever, you know." And I was like, "Where'd you find this?" and so that kind of started it, and then drove down the coast one day and went down a really sketchy cliff, found my first piece, and was hooked ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's something cool about having to almost die to find a piece of rock, right?
Yeah. I was looking at that spot the other day while I was down there, and I was like, I don't even know how I did this. Like, I am not this brave anymore, not at all.
All right.
But yeah, and so kind of gradually over time, it went from like having pieces in my pocket and stuff to show off to like wanting to put a hole in it and put it on some leather so I could wear it. And then that kind of only lasted so long. And I wanted to know how to do more and more with it, you know. There's a lot of like really good talent in the area because you can find jade here. It goes back, well, probably a long time, but contemporary art, at least 40, 50 years.
Wow.
You know, people carving and trying to figure it out. So
it's abundant here.
Yeah, less and less, unfortunately, you know, kind of the way things go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you can still find it down in Big Sur. There's a 2-mile strip which you're legally allowed to prospect for it.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's can be addicting.
Yeah.
Kind of just sucked me in unknowingly, almost, you know. And now I'm here,
Right on.
you know.
I gotta really like give you props for it's been a pleasure to like watch you create your studio space, you know. Like it started off with just kind of you had it pretty basic there, I feel like, in the beginning, just
Yeah.
like tarps everywhere and stuff, and then like it just started transforming like crazy, and now you have like a legit setup. Like I don't know if you got everything you need in there, but it looks like you got it pretty much mapped out now.
Yeah, I mean, like newer equipment, that would be
Yeah.
about it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just running some secondhand stuff for the most part, not like too over the top.
Yeah.
It gets expensive quick.
Well, you built your own sink. which
But
is
yeah,
legit.
yeah. I mean, I guess I've always been creative, but as an artist, I wouldn't consider myself an artist, and I've always like tried to supplement my income
Mhm.
somehow, and so construction and handyman kind of came along with that.
Nice.
And so, like, it was pretty easy for me to start, like, figuring it out. You know,
Mhm.
once I was like, okay, I need a better space and, you know, a better table and this, that, you know, necessities, the mother of all inventions. So it's like,
Absolutely.
and it's just kind of like, okay, I need to make this work.
Mhm.
And I need to be able to reach things and not have to look for stuff as much. And
Yeah.
productivity, you know, that's always kind of been in my workplace is, you know, just
Okay.
results. So it's a little bit easier for me to get like the building stuff done, you know. But
Dude,
yeah.
it's impressive. Like, there's no running water in any of these
No.
freaking studios, okay? And like,
You got water on
you got,
demand.
yeah, like, just, man, sink, everything. I'm like so jelly, so cozy in there. It feels like just you and your work.
Yeah, I definitely got some pointers from some people, but for the most part, it was just kind of like,
YouTube University.
yeah. And like, you know, go buy $100 sink or like a $19 kitchen pan, you know, and
Yeah.
punch a hole in it, kind of stuff.
Well, I remember when you went through the sink debacle because you had one that didn't fit or something, and it was like, oh, well, that's not gonna work. And you're like, well, I could just build my own.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the time I've been here is just kind of figuring out the space
Mhm.
and getting some work out and, you know, kind of working on transitioning into just more of a creative
Mhm.
endeavor instead of, you know, just doing little tune-ups here and there
Mhm.
and just whatever I need, let it pop up
Mhm.
and kind of deal with it up right then and there. But yeah, it's been a juggling act
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit.
Now, is this the first time you've like started your own business and kind of done this route?
Yeah, for the most part, like honestly, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I tried having like landscaping companies back in the day with friends and like little handyman outfits and stuff like that. But for the most part, yeah, I needed a change. I was working in cannabis forever,
Mhm.
and it really took a lot out of me when I was done with it, and I just needed a different outlet.
Yeah.
You know, a real change of pace and like something that left me a little bit more whole at the end of the day.
Okay.
Not saying cannabis wasn't, but it was just like the dream wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna have, you know, my own farm. It was like, oh, I'm just kind of always gonna be working for somebody. You
Yeah.
know, at this point in the game.
No, it's a crazy industry to be in,
Yeah.
especially now.
Yeah.
Once it went legal, I feel like all the charm that it had before kind of went
Yep.
down the drain.
Yeah, I mean, there really is like some honor amongst thieves,
Mhm.
and then you get into a corporate setting, and there's like none of
Yeah.
that.
It's a free for all now.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of what entices me towards the Jade. Is it's still a little like free enterprising for the
Mhm.
most part. You can kind of. I'm not saying there's like a lot of money in it or anything, but you can definitely like do what you want in
Yeah.
it. You know, there's nobody. You know, saying you can't do this or can't do that, or it's got to be a certain way, you know.
For sure.
I go down to a beach, I try to pick my stuff, and then I let the stone talk to me and try to carve it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, 50% of the time.
Nice.
You know.
I think that's important to, like, highlight is, you know, a lot of us, when we get into, like, our creative fields, it's not money that drives us, you know? Like, most of all of us, what we do, like, it's not like we're making a ton of money.
Yeah.
It does come down to, like, there's definitely different motivations that get us into this, and then what you're talking about is, like, that freedom of just being able to pursue something with not having a boss, not having someone telling you this is how you're going to do, not going into your work every day and, like, doing the exact same monotonous thing, you know? Like, being a creative, you kind of make your own schedule, especially being your own business owner, it's like, it's not like you work less, but it's more fulfilling. Yeah, I think you work way more.
Way more.
But at least it is that freedom of, like, hey, I'm doing what I enjoy, and no one's telling me how to do it, you know. And for some people that's scary.
Yeah.
Because some people need to be told this is what you're gonna do, this is how you're gonna do it, and here's your paycheck, which is fine, you know, like. Nothing against that, but for people like us, I feel like we need that freedom to be able to just explore different avenues and be able to do our own thing. So.
And at the same time, that freedom, like, it's great, but I'm, like, learning to structure myself without having anybody else around.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is, like, a whole art, you know? It's a lot of, like, tricking yourself and, like, trying to make deals with yourself and, like, at least for me in the beginning. I'm not saying that's across the board, but it's just, like...
That's across the board.
It's rediscovery, you know? It's like, all right, like, I guess I'm not who I thought I was, you know? Like... Because I thought, you know, it's like, oh, man, I showed up and worked hard every day, you know, 12 hours a day. I put in my time, you know. I gave a lot of myself. I can do that here. And it's like, hey, man, I can easily just do whatever I want now, you know. I don't have to be here. Nothing's holding me here. And it's like, that doesn't really work, you know. It works temporarily, some days, but for the most part, like, you got to show up.
Yeah.
And you got to do the work. You got to be in the chair doing the work.
Yeah.
You know, or else you're not creating.
No.
More or less.
And savings only last so long.
Yep.
Before you're like, oh shit, I can't even pay my bills now.
Yeah.
You're only one emergency away from being like, fuck, I really gotta step it up and, you know, I don't know, be there.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely as something to admire or inspiration in a sense, because you guys do show up and do the work, you know, and you show me that that if you stick to it and you actually keep your nose to the grind, that things start opening up, you know. It doesn't happen overnight at all, but it is possible.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've seen, like, a lot of creatives in my life. They're not balling, they're not, you know, but they really are passionate about what they do, and they make it work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, to me, the struggle is something I'm, for the most part, used to. So it's like, hey, all right, let's just try this out, you know? Let's be happy. Sort of.
Let's try that. Yeah.
You know, or at least follow your heart or your passion, you know. It doesn't always have to be about happiness.
Well, that's what I love about this space particularly is, like, everyone that's associated here. It's like we push each other. There's, like, I've always been an artist that's worked on my own until I found this place. But it's something unique when you can go to a place where there's others that are working, like, just as you said to us, like, you've been an inspiration to me, because every day I come in, you're here.
Yeah.
You're working. You're doing something. You know, you're always here, whether you're helping out with the front, or if you're in your back, you're working your studio, or you're putting in work. Or even if you're just hanging out, you're hanging out and talking with everyone, you know, like you've been an amazing presence in this place, and, like, I know everyone here appreciates it, But that's what we need. Like, I think that's what an art collective is all about. It's like we all feed off of each other's energy, and like I've always taken that as kind of my role here, is to always come in, show that you know, it takes hard work. Like, I always try and stay busy and try and make sure that I'm doing something here, because I get that. Like, everyone's looking at each other, and if we're all just hanging out, not doing anything, it's going to turn into a hangout spot real quick, you know? But, but I like that, you know, when we're here, most of the time, we're working.
Yeah,
we're making something happen.
For sure.
And, you know, you've definitely been a big part in that.
Yeah, you're every time I come here, I'm like, where's Pat?
Yeah, when you're not here.
When you're not here,
what's going on?
That's why this next month's going to be weird, man.
Yeah. It'll be weird for me, too. Trust me.
But that's exciting, man. So, for our listeners, you're headed out to.
Yeah, I'm going to England.
Across the pond.
Yeah, across the pond. Yeah, I got family over there that I haven't met, and I went when I was 2, so it's been 30 years since I've been there, and I don't remember anything of the other trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only met 4 family members over there, and I have way more than that. So
that's cool.
So I'm looking forward to it. A little anxious and just ready to get over there, but just trying to make the most of my time while I have it left here.
Yeah.
Get some stuff done. Take some goodies over there.
Ooh,
try to pedal it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do something.
No, that would be cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You got any plans outside of hanging out with family there? You can do a little sightseeing or anything like that?
Yeah, a little bit of sightseeing. Try to go to a football game. Gotta go to a football game. And go up to Scotland. That's where I get my last name from. So, Ayr County is the largest county in Scotland, and so my last name's Ayres.
Oh.
So I don't know if it has anything to do with we were really born there, or if it was just an immigration thing, you know. But I gotta go check it out. And,
cool.
and
you never know what you're gonna find.
Yeah, I'll come back.
Promise, pinky promise.
I got things to do. I'll come back.
Just got a bunch of like new jade from that you just were showing us earlier. So I'm like, you gotta come back to these puppies.
Yeah.
You can't just leave them.
Yeah, no, I've been planning on being on the coast like as much as I can this winter.
Okay.
I really like hand sourcing as much of my material as possible, and so it just brings like a little bit more. I mean, that's where I started, was hunting jade. So like that. Finding a piece now still hits me like finding the first piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dragon that I like have got, and like there's no chasing it. You know, it still brings me this like satisfaction. I always want to look for a little bit more, but nowadays like I kind of know when I've hit a limit per se. Like I know the beach is provided, you know, and it's like, all right, like I'm only spent an hour or 2 down here. I found enough. I don't need to like over milk it per se. But then it's like, then I have something that I put personal time and energy into, and then carving it. So those are what I really like to do. Mm-hmm. And those beach finds are coming harder and harder to come across. So it's more of like the right person, you know, the right.
Okay.
The right time for them.
I was going to ask you, because you just said, I'm looking forward to winter hunting. Is that, like, the best time to look for it? Like, is there, like, a time to look for it at all? I don't know anything about it, so I'm just curious.
Yes and no. From what I've observed is, like, the tides are a lot rougher and the ocean's a lot more rough, so there's a lot more churning of the sea, and then that spits up more. But at the same time, you can't get to as much beach.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's kind of like watching your tides, knowing where to go, knowing how like much water is going to come up by your tides, knowing if you can get back. Like it's
hunting.
Yeah,
it's
like
straight up hunting.
Yeah, you got to like smell the wind and like put a finger up. Definitely. And
put your ear to the ground.
And it doesn't just I mean, you used to be able to find it in Carmel. Like it used to be a lot more available, not huge pieces, but you know, nephrite. And so now, like, on the beaches, it's more of, like, there's certain veins. And so it's, like, really concentrated, and then there's, like, nothing for a long expanse. And I've spent plenty of time just digging through rocks just to know that there's nothing there. Or people tell me, you know, oh yeah, there's nothing there.
Don't waste your time.
I'm like, great, you know. They're like, you got to go over here. That's where you find it. I'm like, all right. So, like, yeah, there's, I wouldn't call them old timers, but there's definitely, like, the generation above me that helped me out a little bit with technique in carving and also a little bit of, like, hunting as far as, like, where the harder spot, higher potential is. So I'm very gracious of that, you know. Like, they've spent years on the coast, like 20 years hunting. I'm in my 13th year, and I feel like I'm finally getting it down just a little bit.
Wow. That is 13 years of hunting.
Yeah.
Whew.
And, like, I'm finally finding stuff like that, you know, and, like, that blue I showed you, like...
Yeah, that was cool.
I didn't find anything for, like, 3 years. I was living in Oakland, and I would drive 2 hours down, and I would spend a day on the coast, and, like, literally I would just pick up other rocks because I couldn't find anything. I was like, all right, might as well take something with me. like I didn't have something to remember the trip. So, like, it's not like... You can go diving and find more stuff, but the way I do it is I'm just a beachcomber for now, and kind of just got to be happy with the experience, not really the end result, you know? And it's more just like a place to clear my head. When I get down there, I used to run down in a fever and just start ripping rock around, and I kind of know a couple of spots, and I just walk down, sit on the beach, say a little prayer, you know, take a second, breathe it all in, and then get to it, you know. Same fever, a little bit slower and more methodical, but still the same amount of energy, and then, you know, either you're back or the tide tells you you're done, you know, or the bounty. So and then I thank the creator for everyone, you know, like outwardly, not just inside, like vocalize it, and, you know, I try to make it more of like a
ritual, like a wow.
Do you find that helps? Like, I've always been intrigued by that because, like, I've always been interested in crystals, rocks, and all that, but there's always like a spiritual aspect tied to it. And do you find that a lot in the community and with yourself?
Yeah, for sure in the community a little bit. I'd say it's 50-50, you know. There's just some people down there that are just picking rock, you know, and there's and then, there's some people when I'm talking to, it's more of like a piece of the earth and a piece of them that they're, you know, manifesting, creating, and giving away, you know. So, like, my spirituality has grown over the years, so when I first started, I wouldn't say that I had much of it, or it was a big part of what I was doing, you know. It was just something to fill the void, or burn time, or stay out of town, you know. And just over the natural progression of it, it's gotta be thankful, man. You gotta be grateful. You know, if you just take, you know. Yeah.
You gotta learn to appreciate it, every little bit you get, and
I
mean, it sucks you in, right? Like, you're looking at this thing that was just made by Earth, and it's a trip to, I don't know, it's so precious and beautiful and all these things, and I don't know. I feel like that with a lot of things on Earth.
Yeah, it's super beautiful, and it's captivating, you know, and you can get lost, you know, with the light and just looking at it. There's like so many different things going on in one piece of stone, and like it came from so far below the surface, and like Big Sur is one of the few, if not the only place you can find ocean polished, ocean tumbled nephrite. Usually it's just happening out in the desert, or has to be mined, or X, Y, and Z. So it's even more special when you find that one that's just like, you don't have to do anything to it. You know, it's just like perfect the way nature intended it to be, you know. And that's crazy. That's the allure, is like, you find those nice pieces, the bigger ones, but they got some cracks. It's like sometimes you just find one that's like sings to you when you flip the rock, you know. Like, damn, all right. So I, you know, all around it just, And then it's always nice to be on a beach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what tripped me out about rocks, like, I didn't know this, and then I learned that, like, even computers have, like, silica in them, and that's what holds memory.
Yeah.
Which, when I started studying more and more about it, like, I got into I went down a wormhole. But, like, I don't know if you know about the crystal skulls, where it's, like, these ancient skulls that are around the world. There's, like, 12 or 13 of them. And they know that it holds information. We just don't know how to access it. But that's what's crazy about rocks is like they can prove that they hold memories.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does an inanimate object that doesn't do anything hold memory?
Yeah.
Like, it's so trippy.
It's the mystery of science, man.
Yeah, and that's where I'm
we
like,
can
okay,
explain
rocks
it,
or
but
something.
okay, how?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Sure, that sounds good, but why? Like, and it's pretty nutty. Yeah, I've heard of those crystal skulls. They're definitely some heady shit.
Well, once I learned that,
Definitely some weird stuff.
once I learned that, I was like, okay, there's something to rocks. There's like, I don't forget about like the spirituality essence and all that. Like, there's just something to everything in this planet. Like, everything serves its purpose. Everything has some type of role to play, and even the little pebble on the beach has a story to tell.
Totally.
So I think it's really cool that, what you do and hearing about rock hunting, like she said, like it's a whole different, it's like hunting. It's a whole art form in it of itself. So that's really cool. I wanted to talk to you a little bit because you kind of alluded to, your childhood. You had, problems and stuff. Like, something that I really want to get into on this podcast, being creatives, is, because I've gone through stages in life, and I know we all have, and that's something that I've talked with you a lot about, as we've gotten to know each other, is like learning about going through those stages and learning from past mistakes, and so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, dig into it as much as you want to, but what has it been like growing throughout life? And I know you've gone through some crazy things, so what about those experiences made you who you are today?
So I guess I'll start with like some of the experiences. Just growing up was like always pretty like weird for me. I never fit in. I grew up around a lot of adults because my dad was a musician, so he had a lot of musician friends. And I came from a split family, so mom was a single mom, and I just kind of did school and came home, chilled at home, and then on the weekends that's when I would socialize more with adults, and that seemed just more like the people who were talking to me. So school was just always kind of like weird. Like, I know you're supposed to be there learning, but there's a big social aspect to it no matter what, and that's where you're developing, and it's just, so like, I'm not saying I was ahead of the curve, but I felt a little bit more like out of place in I wouldn't say mature way, but I just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
did you hang out with the teachers?
Yeah. Totally.
Same. I'm like, I freaking feel you. I'm like, I didn't hang out with kids either. Like, I would hang out with
after
the teachers.
class, chilling, I don't feel like anything pet about it. It was more of just talking about what was going on. Like, my home was really weird, as far as just like, at least for me, like mom and dad not being together, and just having to be bounced around. I had a grandma that was like a parent, and so it was just like I never really had like stability or anything like that. So it was just nice having someone that I could talk to every day if I needed to. And so like that helped. Like, I had a teacher, Mrs. LeBay, 4th grade. I would sit on her little windowsill if like things were just getting too hot at home, know, and like we would talk for hours until the either the lights kept on or she was like, okay, I gotta go, She was a sweet lady. I might have been bothering the hell out of her. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, because of that, once I got to, like, the rebellious age, I just started doing that, man. And, like, I was really good at school. and really good at like retaining knowledge and whatnot, but like I just had an attitude, and like I definitely didn't want to be involved in it, and kind of just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I was like 13 thinking that, you know, and I could have done healthy things like get a job or, you know, whatever, and instead I just kind of went like transient, you know. Me and my mom argued a lot, so like she, you know, I would leave, she would kick me out, I would stay at a friend's house for days on end, plenty of like missing persons reports and X, Y, and Z. So like my mom finally told me to get a job, and then I started growing weed, and then I got in trouble for that, so I got sent to a group home for 2 years, and that probably saved me, to be honest, because like I was going down like pretty hard. I was 14 doing whatever I could do, you know, and so I went into a group home. It was just over in Santa Cruz. I've heard horror stories. It wasn't that bad, you know. It's like 5 other boys, and I had to graduate high school to get out of there, you know, and I was reporting to probation and going to court and all kinds of stuff, and like just in the system, like heavy for sure. But luckily I just kept at it. There was people that ran a lot and I wanted to run, but like I had a friend that was running a couple years older than me, and he was just MIA from like 12, and he would just run and get back and out, and it like I just knew I couldn't do all that. I'm capable, but I'm not that capable, you know. Like I gotta come home for food eventually, like, you know. So like, yeah.
You weren't ready to be that transient.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, but yeah, like I couldn't maintain. You know, it wasn't sustainable, and like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just angry. You know, that was a big part of it. It's just and not knowing how to deal with anger. You can be angry. It's totally healthy to be angry, but letting it consume you and not knowing how to have an outlet or anything like that, like. My dad's like a world-class musician, and I can't play music. So it was like frustrating on that. I felt like to be an artist, you had to be a guitar player or a painter or, you know, X, Y, and Z. And like, I could never be patient enough with myself to like try to develop any skills or anything like that. It was just a lot of like,
you're like, I'm supposed to be born with this. It's in my blood.
Yeah,
Why is it not coming to me?
My dad was playing his first gigs at like 11. You know what I mean? So
Set
like,
the bar so high,
yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you're gonna be the great," you know. And it's like, I don't want to do this, you know. Like, and nothing was wrong with me, but I felt like something was wrong with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that kind of had a lot to like in my childhood, and then I got released from the group home. And I graduated high school in like 2 years when I finally had to sit down and like do schoolwork. And so got out, and I was even more angry. And like it just spiraled even harder because I was an adult then. And like, you know, I came home and there was nails in the window and the 18th birthday, and like, you know, the locks were changed. And like, I was just like, oh shit, like this has never happened, you know, like this is definitely different. And so you know, kind of like couch surfed for a long time and slept in the woods and like lived out in the forest, and you know, I tried to like work. I had like some jobs here and there but for the most part I would just get into trouble, you know. It was just the easier thing to do. And so that gave me, I took my lumps, basically. I had to learn the hard way, you know, and I learned what I didn't want to be, and that was being in jail, you know, for one.
That'll do it.
It was just like, okay, I'm tired of this, you know. Like, this sucks.
Yeah,
like,
jail sucks. Yeah.
And I'd get released, and then they would reoffend me on some old stuff, and I would go back, and so, like, yeah, that just kept happening, man, until, like, it didn't, you know, and I finally started seeing some clearing in the weather per se, but I was still there. You know, wherever you go, you're still there. So like, I could keep myself out of jail, but I still had all the issues that would get me into jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, from 23 to 27, maybe even younger than that, 22, like, it's still pretty hazy for me. You know, like, I remember what happened and what I was doing and where I was at, but it was a lot of moving around. It was a lot of intoxication. It was a lot of just having fun being a youth, you know? And that just burnt me out, and my body couldn't take it, and like, I really can't sleep in a car. I'm pretty tall.
And you're like, nope.
Pretty tall. It's pretty cold. You know, I like to have a partner in my life, and I don't know too many partners that want to shack up in a car. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, like, it's true. Guys are totally fine in a cardboard box. If it wasn't for wanting, you know, a significant other, we'd probably. You know.
As we get older, that starts to not be as fine. You know?
Yeah,
so we
definitely.
talked a lot about, like, when we hit 30, everything changed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The things I could get away with in my 20s, I could sleep on a rock, no problem. Completely wasted, wake up in the morning, feel great, eat some food, and back at it. You
100%.
know? But now, it's like, if I get drunk and go part... I may be out for 2 days, you know? Like,
totally.
Like, and then I'm definitely not sleeping on no rock, you know? My whole body will hurt the next morning. It's just, that all accumulates. We don't think about that when we're younger.
Yeah.
It just accumulates.
Yeah, you'll feel it one day.
I'm curious about so I met you, and you're like one of the chillest dudes I know, and I'm like, hearing you talk about like all this anger. I used to have anger issues when I was a kid, and it took a long time for me to even like acknowledge that it was anger what I had and actually like do something about it. But I'm like, because I look at you and I'm like, you're like so chill. What do you mean anger?
I have my moments.
Right. I mean, like,
I'm human.
Right. I think
that's part of what I'm alluding to, though. You know, is like the fact that we go through stages in life, you know, like the fact that I know, because I saw that picture of you too. You posted when
with
you
the
were
mohawk?
young. I was like, how is this the same dude?
Yeah, I was pissed that day.
But that's so
I
important.
was looking at my father too. Like, I was like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, you know.
Did he the one that took the picture?
Yeah. Like, you know, it's out there.
Yeah, so I'm just like, how do you like deal with that? Like, I mean, dealt with that, I guess, because I'm like, I can't imagine you. But then I get like the same thing. People be like, dude, you're such a fucking clown. Like, there's no way, you know. I'm like, oh no, I used to be angry, and I was the type of angry that would like, I was like a physical angry person, you know, as a kid. Like, I will lash out and stuff, you know.
And then, definitely punched a lot of walls.
Same.
Yeah.
She's looking at me.
I know. I'm like, I broke
broke
one knuckle once, and that was enough for me to be like, I should stop doing this.
No more punching walls.
You know how, I don't know, in the movies, when you're in Mexico and you look at the movies here and people punch through the walls and it's fucking drywall, so your shit goes through, right? But in Mexico, this shit is snow. In Mexico, they're fucking solid. And they're just brick and cement.
Yeah, it's mortar,
and your hand
plaster,
just,
Totally.
yeah, so that'll calm you down real quick. But
Yeah.
like, you know, I'm just like, how did that like, I don't know, do you have any awareness of like how that changed? Or because I don't know, I feel like once I started embracing my artistic side and like that's why my work is so emotional, just so dramatic, because I was literally pouring all of that into it, and I feel like it's a way to relieve that one thing, you know. I don't know, I'm just curious.
If I were to pinpoint it, like, or have an idea, it'd definitely be a lot of things, but like, I got introduced to AA when I was younger, and I thought it was pretty stupid at the time. But then I tried it again a little bit later, and I'm not involved with it now. I am sober, but I'm not involved with it. But I think there's like a lot of good that you can learn in it.
Yes.
And one thing they stress is like the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
And so like my anger wasn't working for me. It would get me into bad situations. unhealthy relationships, in trouble with the law, everything. And so, like, I just had to start trying stuff different and being aware of the trying things different and observing the outcomes of them. Not necessarily, like, expecting them to always be like that, but just like, hey, if I try a different approach on this, I get a different result than instead of just being angry or frustrated. And, like, again, I still, like, have my moments, you know? It's a work in progress. But it's like, sounds cliche, but it's just better with love, you know? If you go into it with, like, at least a semi-even head, you know, and you have an open heart, like, things seem to be better. Or at least play out a little bit better. So that would be a little bit of it. I also come from, like, I don't know my mom's side, but on my dad's side, they're like hippies for the most part. Like my uncle was a conscientious objector in Vietnam, and like my aunt got married under a waterfall naked, and
and your grandpa used to do the readings, right? Like
yeah. So like it's I guess it's in me as much as it isn't, or you know, and it's like I've spent so much time being angry that it's worth it to try something else.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, looking back on it, I was angry up until I was like 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
28, 29. Like, I'm 32, so like...
You're like, I was angry
I was just like completely like gravitated to just like being impulsive and just short-tempered and not physical. My anger's never really been physical, but like definitely just like hot-headed, man. And exercise does a lot for me. Like riding a bike daily, running on the beach, just anything you can do to kick your ass healthily, you know, into submission. That's kind of what I have to do, just to like be able to operate. You know, and it sucks, but somebody's got to do it. You know.
No, I agree with that. I mean, most of my life, that's what I've done to like deal with my anger, because it's funny, like she always tells me when she first met me, it was like she thought I was an angry
just like the
evil
face though.
person.
Yeah.
Just
like I
like
just had this stone face, I guess.
It's definitely a tough nut to crack, you know? It was like, alright.
But I've always found, like, I don't train as much anymore, but I still keep in good shape, and, you know, I swim in the ocean and do things like that. But one of the things that I remember clearly is when I was training jiu-jitsu a lot, it's like after a hard session, you're all smiles, like everyone's like super chill and cool, because you got all of that out of you, like all that pent up aggression, everything is just released. So then all you got left is just good vibes. You know? Like,
totally,
just chill. And that's something I always remember from the gym. Like, I wish people knew this about, you know, gym culture, because most people just think about it like, like it's going hard.
It's the chill afterwards. It's
but that's literally what keeps people coming back. Is like after a hard training session, everyone's just hanging out on the mat, like talking and just chilling out, and it's just like the coolest vibe. And I always wondered, like, what is it to that? And you know, as I got older, I realized it's like, everyone releases all that pent up energy, and all that's left is just what's left is those good vibes. You know? And if we took that into our lives, like you're saying, like everyone should just do something to kick their own ass. Get all that energy out, work out, go for runs, go for bike rides, whatever that makes you feel like you accomplished something, you know, get that out of the way. And if you can do it right away in the morning, so that the rest of the day, you know, you set the tone. You set the tone for the day. Exactly.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of it is like accountability. And that's another like AA cliche, but it's like you are in charge of you. You know,
you're the only person you can control. That's it.
That's it. And like you can control what you think, and for the most part, how you feel. You know, other people can get in sometimes, but you know, and food's a big part of it. You know, your diet and whatnot. That'll put you in a good position. But yeah, it's you got to take charge of your life, and if you want better, you got to know what better is, and you got to strive for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I knew what I didn't want to be, so like it was like, all right, I got to figure out what I want to be and what I want to do. You know.
Yeah.
And so it's been a long road, really, really tiring, fun road, you know, full of a multitude of experiences. You know,
that ties in well with your business name.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Did you think about that when you came up with your name, or you just?
I just I saw the evolution of my business and what it could be all at once. So I was thinking more of the Silk Road, and just like a trading post for all things jade, and all people who love it, you know, and people who want to learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more just based off the Silk Road. But yeah, at the same time, it was also like, you know, the Jade Road. I've chosen a different road. You know, I'm choosing this path instead of this one. You know,
awesome.
Dude. So this guy, for our listeners, this guy just dropped some merch with this Jade Road green font on this sick like.
Shout out to Chris Powers.
Yeah, shout out to Powers over here, but like with this cool image of, is it Big Sur?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you take that image?
Yeah. I was, just driving down the road one day, and I knew what I wanted for my logo, and I knew where to capture it, and that's the road driving north towards Monterey, looking at Jade Cove, which is a spot that if you know Big Sur and the Jade Cove, you know that road. So that's kind of why I went with that. It's something that the locals could identify with. That's awesome. You know.
Dude, I love your merch. It's so cool.
Thank you.
So
appreciate
cool.
it. I do too. It
came out really good.
Really good.
You guys check it out at the shop, Monterey.
Yeah. He already told me most of the hoodies are already sold out. So
yeah.
I
got larges. Falling on a budget. Cash me when I get back from England.
But no, what caught me about that image right away, and something that always catches me, was the feather on the dash.
On the dash, yeah.
For some reason, like, whenever I see feathers in images or whatever, like, I get gravitated towards it right away, and that was, like, the first thing I noticed in your picture. I'm like, ooh.
So that was supposed to be cropped out, but it just got left in.
I'm glad it did, yeah.
It was going to be, like, cropped out with the title at the bottom or whatnot, but we kind of just decided against it and went with what we went with. And
dude, it works so well.
Yeah, and it's a great horned owl feather that another carver gave me.
So that's in your car?
Yeah, it's still in my car. I don't have it. I try to be a little bit more low profile. I took the sage and the horn feather and the red, yellow, green out, but...
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But, it's been really fun, and I highly suggest everyone to find a creative outlet.
100%.
Find something, start searching, even if you don't know what it is, and try a multitude of things, and just give it time. That's the biggest part. An hour a day, you know, if you can. Even if you just do it every other day, you know, to start. But
that's
a
big
big change in my life. So
that's awesome, because a lot of what people struggle with when they're trying to figure out, you know, what that path is, a lot of times it is like what you were saying with you and music. You know, like some people get stuck in like, oh, I want to do this, and like they try so hard, or not even really try that hard. You know, a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard that from so many people. I wish I was good at drawing.
Yeah.
I wish I was a good painter. I wish I was and that's the first thing I say. I'm like, do you think I just picked up a paintbrush today?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, it takes that dedication. Like, passion is dedication.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, you love something so much that you're willing to put time into it. And it's like, you got to dedicate that time to it to get better. You know, like, you got to put in those hard hours where they aren't fun.
Yeah.
You know, passion isn't about having fun every day.
Yeah, not at all.
I think that's where it gets misconstrued, where people think, oh, we're just having a blast. Like, most of the time we're miserable trying to figure out how to make things work.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
And you only get to see the final product. You only get to, like, people only see your final piece of jewelry and they're like, oh, I love this. I wish I knew how to make something like this. They don't see you, like, all the pieces that you broke.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out
I'll work
that.
5 hours on a piece and it'll break into my hands.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I just get a little overambitious or go a little too fast or I'm getting a little too impatient. I should just set it down and walk away. Or and it's like, oh, all right. And, like, yeah, sometimes I get lucky changing it, but it's not always the case, you know?
Oh, imagine.
It's funny, when I was in college and I lived in a house full of people who were like, you know, psychologists and social workers and, like, you know, real people who are going to do great things in life, and you're the artist in the house, and they're just like, art, you know, like, how easy or whatever. I remember at the end of one semester, because I took over the whole, a good part of the house, trying to finish projects. But I remember at the end, 3 of my friends were like, I am never talking shit about art, like artists and having it easy. You know, so they were like, the way that we've watched you just lose your hair.
Oh, yeah.
It's been like enough. Like, wow.
Literally, though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like when people actually are living with you and get to see from beginning to end, it's like, oh shit.
it's borderline torture. That's one thing that I've, like, definitely, I was like, oh, it'll be, like, so much different. I was like, no, the torture has just changed. It's a little bit more palatable, you know? Like,
I mean, it's because once you like unlock the next thing and you're like, oh, I can do this.
yeah.
Like, there's nothing I can't do.
Yeah.
And you want to try and try and try. And I don't know, maybe that is the definition of being insane over here. Just keep trying and see what happens every time.
But if you know you can do it better,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and you can, like, adjust and make adjustments. You're still trying the same thing, but you're adjusting your
Little.
process a little
Mhm.
bit, and you're still being observant. I think that's something completely different, and
Yeah.
that's the genius of it, you know. And they borderline.
There's
each
like
other.
I was going to say, we're over here like...
Genius and
between
insanity
insane
are,
and-
like,
yeah.
one and the
Oh, we're
same.
always tiptoeing that line, that's for sure.
So,
It's like, yeah.
you know, and I mean, not everybody might see it, but we know what goes on in our heads. And we
True.
know, like, that the evolution you personally made, nobody knows it more than you,
Mhm.
you know, and it's like, hey, like, I might not be as good as Picasso or whatever, but, like, just in this short amount of time, I've picked up so much just through my own, the time in the chair, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's your work ethic that's really pushed you. Like, you have a work ethic that's just up there, you know. Like, without knowing you, when you first got here, I already, like, because, you know, when you first got here, it was like, oh, we really liked the last person who was there. So it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy's got a big...
Sorry, Sophia.
Yeah, so, yeah. Shout out to
Still got your mushroom in there.
And your wall's still painted.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was like, oh, okay, this guy's got big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And you came in immediately outside of the first weekend. You weren't able to get in there. But, like,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you immediately just started putting your work in, transforming your space, and, you know, you were here. Like, I'm not joking, people, when I say this guy has been here literally most days, you know, like, he's here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not always carving, like they said. Sometimes it's just building a table or a sink, and that takes 4 hours, and I'm frustrated. You know, I had to run around town looking for everything, and got to get Home Depot stuff, and you know, it's just like, this isn't what I want to be doing, like, but it's what I need to do in order to
It's just a
do what
step.
so it all plays into itself, and I really appreciate you guys noticing that and telling me
Dude,
that, you
I
know?
tell you, like, I would hear coming from like the sculptor perspective or whatever,
Yeah.
being like, oh, these are too small, you know, and then I see you in there with like legit equipment, freaking, and I'm like, I'm just lazy. I'm just like, I'm not lazy, but I'm like, I just don't have the, like, this is a lot, and I'm painting now.
Yeah.
Screw that, I'm painting now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, you guys really keep me going because you guys are staying active. Most of our artists here, I mean, everybody, you know, it's like Sherlock's in there,
Mm-hmm.
sewing it
Sherlock's
every day.
another
I
one,
gotta get that
man.
guy. Yeah.
Eventually we'll
Like,
get him on here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, G is doing a million things all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and like, when I first got here, like, you were like, all right, what you got?
Mhm.
You know, I'm like, oh shit, like, I got this. And you're like, all right, you know, like, fuck, I gotta show him a little bit more next time. Like, I'm kind of letting myself down now. Like, shit, I could do more, you know, and yeah, man, this is the best workspace I've ever had, you know, as far as just overall atmosphere and the actual workability of it all, you know. I started with a tiny little bucket on a fold-out ironing board in my tent out in Kashawa that I was living way back in the day, like cutting dry, which you're not supposed to do.
Right.
Like, so many no-nos, and like an upgrade to that was like a bucket of water with a light hanging over it, and like it's been bad. So yeah, like I definitely wanted to like give this more than I've ever given it, you know.
Oh, it's definitely noticed, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool to like to appreciate that journey too. Like you're saying, like it's to start from like very humble, a bucket,
Yeah.
in your tent. You know, like that. To go from there to now having your own studio, having a space that's like a real workshop. Like I don't know if you noticed that, because I mean, I know I don't notice a lot of things in my own journey, but that's why it's good to be an art collective and to have things like this where it's like we can reflect on stuff like that, and you can realize like you've done a lot, and we're all excited just to have you here, and then to continue to see your journey and your success, you know, because it's cool. It's cool to have you around, and I mean, you're a different art form than what we do.
Yeah.
And I love being around as many art forms as possible. You know, like you learn something from everyone.
Yeah.
And when it's art form I don't know, it makes me even more curious. Like, oh, how do you do that? What, you know, I've been in there like just watching you and checking it out.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff.
Try to leave the door open so people can creep over me.
Yeah,
Check it
I think that's
out.
super
Sometimes
cool.
I catch them and get freaked out. It's all good. I like it.
As far as like, have you approached setting up your business in any specific way, or has it just kind of been like, well, try this, if it doesn't work, try this, you know, just trial and error basically?
Yeah, trial and error. What works, what doesn't work. You know, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to let that stop me from doing it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So, I definitely feel like I was a little overambitious at the beginning and could have, you know, given it a year before, like, really starting a business about it. But, I mean, on paper and everything, not the actual workings of it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's work in progress.
No, that's awesome. Like, that's actually what I was expecting to hear, because I think that's important for people to hear when, you know, there could be people listening who are like hesitant to start their own business, and it's like sometimes we get caught up in trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle in place before actually ever doing anything.
Yeah.
The problem is you're never going to put any puzzle pieces together if you don't actually act and make something happen.
No, 100%.
And that's part of it, is like, yeah, there's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be things you didn't see coming your way and can stop you. But if you don't ever take that first step, it doesn't matter how prepared you are. It's the fact that you're just doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you would have waited a year, you may not have been able to get a spot here. You would have met none of us.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's like everything happens for a reason. And sometimes it just takes that belief in yourself, regardless of how the circumstances are.
Yeah.
You know, like the circumstances are never going to be perfect.
True.
You're never going to know everything that you need to know to get a business started.
It's never going to be the right time.
Yeah.
No.
The time is now. That's it.
But it is the right time when you want it. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to make it the right time.
Yeah.
Just basically just go for it.
What really propelled me, because I was sitting around, I had tried to start up a hash company with my buddies the year before, and like I had lucky to break even on that. Like it was a really just bad business move.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess I have tried to make other business things happen, and so that was kind of my final straw in the cannabis industry. It's just like, all right, I can't do this anymore, dude. I've done it for X amount of time, and like, I'm retiring with nothing. Like, what am I gonna do? And I read a book my buddy gave me that was called The War of Art, and it was a super simple book. It's only 4 chapters, and like, I honestly, I didn't read a book for 19 years before, not 19, since I was 19. So 13 years almost. Like, I read a bunch when I was in jail, and then every time I tried to read a book outside of jail, I just immediately like correlated it with being on a bunk, and I was like, I'm not doing this. Unless it was purely education, like something I was like needed to learn on the spot or something. Just nothing for recreation or food for thought. And I read that book in like 2 days, picked it up, put it down, done, and I was like, I know what I got to do. Because I had all of those other years of like doing it here, like out in the tent, and like, oh man, this is a lot of fun, and then not having that space anymore. Something changed, and I was like, oh shit, and then doing it at this buddy's house, and then that changes, and it was just like, dude, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm not finding the ability to do it. Like, where is the disconnect? And like, luckily I had a little bit of savings, and real talk, thank God for unemployment, man. It definitely helped out. And like, I was like, okay, like, I just gotta, I was saying get my feet wet, but most people were like, you took the plunge, dog. You took the plunge, homie. So yeah, that book really helped me, and I passed it on to other creatives, and it's really helped them right now. And like, I mean, resistance, man. If you read that book, it's resistance is a motherfucker, and it's out there, and it is a malicious subliminal force that takes out creatives.
You were just
loves
telling
to
me about
feed
that.
on us.
Yeah.
It really does. And so I highly recommend that book.
It's Stephen Pressfield, right?
Yeah, he wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance. He was a Marine.
It's a very good book.
He released a movie that had nobody show up for the, like, he's been through it, he knew what he was writing, and nobody showed up to the premiere. Hollywood, big budget, nobody showed.
So this book is really something, right?
Yeah, like the guy's actually
if the guy can
from
take
like
this,
a good,
place.
He
knows what he's talking about. He's gone through it.
He's gone through the gutter.
He's good, yeah.
and he defines, he makes it very easy to kind of like see what you're dealing with and compartmentalize it and attack it properly. And like, I suggest reading it every 6 months. It's that good.
It's a small book, short read, but very poignant and to the point.
Yeah, concise.
No, it's a really good book.
Someone gifted it to me.
Yeah, get on it.
I'm trying to remember who.
You haven't read it yet?
You seem like you're doing good, but still.
Like, this was years ago, and I remember starting it, and I don't think I ever got through it. You're like, get through it. Yeah.
Homework after your show.
Audible. Because there's something about, there is
whatever
something about,
takes,
well, there's something about sitting down and looking at something, and then your brain is just going somewhere else, and you're like, wait, what did I just read? I have to read it again. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, I have to be doing 2 things at once. I can't focus on just, like, I would have to be listening to music or something while I'm reading it.
Totally.
Or, I don't know. Something. But yeah, that's why I'm like, Audible.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Natalia told me that. She's like, you know what? You should look into that. I was like, what are you trying to say? Huh? She was recommending me another book, and I was like, I don't know when I'll get to this. She's like, well, you're always listening to things, so you could just listen to Audible and do things at the same time. And I was like, yeah, okay. Audible, sponsor us.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
What do we got here? Are we taking...
Wait, what is this? Is this live? Are we taking...
We're taking comments.
Ooh. Questions from the public? That's a first.
That's G.
Oh.
Not
Thank you,
public.
G.
G say stop being angry at 25.
Yeah, he's like, oh, all right, well, this isn't working, you know. And it might be a testosterone thing. There might be, like, some, you know, multiple factors, at least in a man's life or in everybody's life,
Yeah.
you know. Like, I lived in a very angry home. My mom is a wonderful woman, but she came from a very, very different life than I knew. And, like, grew up in really hard times in a really hard place. And she got out of there, and like I said, man, wherever you go, there you are, you know, and it's just how it goes. She's, you know, not that way today, but, you know, it's just the luck of the draw, you know. I truly feel that we get to see our lives before we even inhabit our body, and we say,
that's
yep,
what I want to do.
That's me.
Someone told me that,
You
and
know?
I was like, I chose this, and it kind of, in a way, it kind of shifted my... It kind of, cause it's true. Like you look at your life, and sometimes you look back and you're like, oh, the anger comes from like, that was not like that little kid that was you didn't deserve that or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Like you look at that way. But then someone said that to me. They were like, you get to look at your life, and then you get to be like, yes, I signed up for that shit. And I'm over here like, leave it up to me to choose this. No, I'm kidding. No, it's great. Life is great. It's wonderful. But true. I mean, it's hardship, you know?
Yeah.
And you sometimes you can't even believe that. Like, why? Why would anyone choose this? But then, I don't know. Then you're here at the shop hanging out with your buds, and life is not...
Yeah, and things start changing.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, all right, well... Hey, man, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't
be here.
Go through this the way I am, you know. You get tempered, just folded and heated and folded and heated and like...
Just like making a sword.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
I mean, you think, like, personally, all the coolest people in my life have gone through some serious shit.
Yeah.
No one that I know who I genuinely like being around had an easy life, you know?
Pretty much.
Straight up. So, and I don't know, like, even people that we perceive as, like, having easy life, like someone who comes from, like, major wealth or whatever, it's like, even they don't go through, like, I could imagine, kind of something you alluded to, like, your dad is a really great musician.
Yeah.
Part of that is, like, you could have grown up with, you know, being fed with a silver spoon or whatever through music and whatever, but that still creates strife, you know, because you couldn't live up to that.
On the other side,
know,
It's
or
like
whatever.
I know plenty of people that had it all. Like growing up in PG, like I was lower class, and a lot of my friends were, or at least the other majority of the school were higher up than that. And a lot of people that had it really well, just had it way worse. Like as far as like the Oxycontin epidemic, you know, and like they just had everything, access to whatever they wanted, and they got to grow up hella fast, and they burn out quick. You know, and like when you don't have all of that, I feel like, you know, you have to be a little bit more reliable on yourself. And that's not saying that just because you're born into a loving family, you can't work or, you know, X, Y, and Z, like go through hard times.
Yeah. No, I have a friend. I have a friend who came from a very wealthy family, and I met him. He was living on the streets.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids who just, when he turned 18, he decided he wanted a different life. So he lived on the streets, was homeless in San Francisco for many years, and then eventually inherited some wealth and you know, got his own plot of land up north now. And he's like, dude, super... Like, I think that time on the streets really built his character.
Totally.
You know, so he chose his own path, and he decided to go away from everything else, and then he ended up coming back to it, but he did it his way.
Yeah.
So I think in the end of it all, what builds character is that we do decide to take what life gives us. Like you said, like, maybe we did choose it as a spirit. We chose this life because we decided... This is what I need to learn.
Yeah.
This is the test that I need to have in this life to be, you know, whatever it is that we're striving to be as spirits.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, I always look at it as like we're spirits. We're just here in this body experiencing something that we need to experience. But once we're done with this body, our spirit has to move on to whatever next
whatever
level,
next.
whatever that may be, you know. But in this life, what we're learning is everything that's going on, you know, like, and we can either look at it as, oh, this is terrible and I hate my life and why this, why that. But if that's your mentality, you're never going to learn anything.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you're going to constantly face the same tests.
Yeah.
I've always thought about that. I was like, anytime something bad has happened to me or it just hasn't gone my way, I always try and look at it now as, what can I learn from this? How can I
Silver lining.
how can 100%. I make
100%.
sure that the next time this comes up, I don't react the same way or I don't approach it the same way so that I can do better, you know, because I think for me personally, how I know I'm growing is if I can look at the problems in my life and realize, oh, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And I know what I shouldn't do, and this is what I'm going to do, you know. And to me, that's what's made me who I am to this day now, is like I approach problems like that. Like, I'm not going to do what I've done before if it hasn't worked. And if it has worked, I may try something different anyways, you know, like just to
switch it up.
Side note, have either of you seen The Midnight Gospel?
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Okay,
so good.
Midnight Gospel.
Dude, you gotta get on that.
The soul prison is
you
the
gotta
best
get on
one.
that. But you know that episode where they're going over the whole, like, you know, in the cartoon part, the person keeps doing the same mistakes, it's getting killed off.
That's
and then,
the soul prison.
Yeah. So when you say about like, we chose this, right? It's good to hear that, because in my mind I always think about, like, how you have to learn the lessons if you want to move on to the next thing, right? So in my mind I was like, oh man, I'm here, I have to figure something out clearly, because you know, I definitely don't want to go through the same thing.
Yeah.
I definitely don't. I learned the lesson, trying to at least, being conscious of learning the lesson. But yeah, when you say, like, we chose to be here, it puts like a different, you know, like a different take on that. And that's why I like it, because I'm like, maybe, yeah, we do have to keep coming back to learn the lesson, but being able to choose the lesson, it's what's just running with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just a side tangent, guys. Sorry.
Totally.
Carry on.
No, you're good. and I still believe in, like, free will and destiny and all that.
Yeah.
I think you can have all of it going on, you know.
Yeah.
I can totally choose what I want to do day to day. But I don't know if that was pre-chosen for me, you know. And so that's where it's like, at one point I got to see it all and said, yeah, you know. And I feel like I've gone through enough negative. I know also in me that I manifest things really fast. Like, it's just, I can't ignore it anymore. It's not karma or whatever. It's just like, negativity breeds, positivity attracts. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to choose one or the other. If I'm going to sit there in a negative attitude all day, then I'm not going to get what I'm actually wanting.
Yeah.
And my head was just conditioned for the longest time for just to be angry with other people, places, whatever. So I think that changed a lot. And it's just my perspective, you know, on observing myself, how I interact with the universe or this life, and then wanting to change that, you know, and how am I going to change it? It's like positivity, dude. You know, it doesn't have to be all the time, but majority. For sure.
Be the change you want to be in the world.
Exactly. All those cliche things.
I know.
Man, they're so true, though.
They're so true. That's what they're.
That's why they're cliche.
That's why they're cliche. This is true. It's true. Yeah.
Totally.
I'm curious about this because you brought it up. I mean, Kristen's gonna absolutely love the fact that you said manifest, because she's all about it. But did you notice, and you may not have, but as you started to invest more into being more positive, is that what brought more manifestation in your life, or do you feel like you've just always been able to manifest things?
I think it's always.
Okay.
Because I was looking back at it, I was angry and frustrated, and like, so like, my mom couldn't raise me. She only had like one perspective. She was working and going to school full time and X, Y, and Z, and like I didn't have much of like a home life or like masculine figures to look after or anything like that, you know? So it's like I felt at one point maybe I did it all to myself, I don't know, but it was like I'm never going to get what I need here.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't gonna, like, I've already tapped out. I've maxed out on what I can learn from this situation, and I need more. But because I was in an angry place and I was frustrated, that I just pulled in all those experiences
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Mm-hmm.
All the badness. And through that, I just learned what I didn't want to be, you know?
Yeah.
And learned that I didn't want that negativity. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not like I'm not a drug dealer.
It's exhausting.
I'm not like not a
things.
loped out gangster or anything like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like I've done some like crazy shit for sure, but like at the end of the day, man, I just wasn't born for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I find a lot of like solace and fulfillment working with people in similar situations or people who are just going through a hard time. You know, I feel like I'm empathetic. You know, I can pick up on when people are having a hard day, and I want to talk to them about it and maybe change their perspective, or at least just listen to them and take it in. You know, just be an ear, and that's just in my archetype, I believe. You know.
Well, just listening to you, I feel like maybe it seems like you being angry all those years was basically because you weren't being true to that nature of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, being more empathetic. And I only say that because that's how I feel a lot of my life has been. It's interesting because I just got recently asked about, you know, how has art impacted your life? And one of the things that I responded was that art really helped me to identify myself. Being creative has helped me to really understand who I am, because before I really invested my time into art, into being creative, I was just going around with whoever I was hanging out with, and I wanted to fit in. So I would do dumb shit just to be able to be like cool. In this
I'm
group.
Part of this, you know?
And like looking back on it, I could honestly say I had no idea. Like if someone asked me, who are you and what drives you, like I couldn't give them a straight answer. It would just be like dumb shit, you know, like, or sports or whatever. And now like I can clearly state what I'm all about based on my art, and that was the gift that it gave me. So like now I feel obligated to share that gift through, you know, sharing my experience, sharing my art, and, you know, having these conversations with other people like you and you, like, where we can share that, because I think it's important for people to know that. Like, so much of our anger, I think, in life and just instability comes from us just not really taking the time to really understand ourselves and knowing that, you know, what does make you who you are. You know, even like you said, if you're empathetic, then you gotta lean into that. Yeah. Instead of going the opposite direction, which is only going to create strife in your life because you're not believing in that. You know. Totally. So I'm. It's cool that you say that, empathetic, because a lot of times in my life, people who know me have always said, like my family, like, you're very empathetic, and I fought that. Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't be care. The tough guy.
Don't give me your problems. I don't want your problems.
But now that I know that and I appreciate that and I lean into that, like I've met so many amazing people because of that. You know, like part of like how I've met everyone here has been me being more empathetic and like, oh, what's going on with you today? You know, what's up? How can I help? You know, like. Me and C, I think, have gone to be very close based on just, you know, helping each other out through some of the tougher times. Totally. You know, right? Yeah. And without leaning into that, I could have easily just been like, I know a certain situation with me and C, I could have easily just been like, oh, whatever. I'm going to bed.
Bye.
You know? Yeah. But without, you know, actually leaning into that and, you know, caring about my friend, you know, I would have never gotten to know her in the deeper level that now it's like she's my sister. So I mean, It's important to lean into those things.
Yeah. Same. Like with growing up angry and just, but also being like a softie and like the anger came more out of trying to be a tough person. You know, like you never cry, you never show your emotions.
Yeah.
You're just a tough person and don't fuck with me because you'll get it, you know, type thing. And I'm like, I'm the biggest freaking teddy bear.
Yeah.
Like I'm all about hugs. And I don't wanna. It's just too hard putting. It takes a toll, you know. Like,
Totally.
what is it? Like, it's another cliche. Like Jim Carrey said about like being depressed was all about like you're like you need deep rest. Like your person is tired of playing this avatar that you're trying to be,
Yeah.
and so the second that you become more like aligned to how you really feel and who you really are, that.
You're
Like
energized.
you take a deep rest and then to deep rest, get in. It's like a word thing.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what you're
Deep
saying.
rest.
Yeah,
Deep
deep
rest,
rest. Yeah,
yeah.
deep rest. So your person needs to like take a rest from the person that you're trying to be, and be more aligned to who you need, like who you actually are.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
yeah, you know, meme wisdom.
We got all kinds of cliches and
Yeah.
memes going on this podcast.
C's your sister is G your redheaded stepson?
G, how can we describe G? G is, how did Natalia describe him? Natalia had the best descriptions.
She was like, I think G was like the crazy cousin.
Crazy cousin, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Something like that.
Third cousin twice removed.
Because to me so Natalia described me as her brother.
Oh yeah, but she's
And you're the crazy aunt.
Yeah, I think he was a crazy cousin.
And Avelino's the uncle.
The uncle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. With it.
No, but like Avelino's very much like.
Yeah,
I feel
Avelino's great too. I have a lot of good talks with him in the morning. When he shows up on Saturday, I'll be here at like 6 or 7, and he'll come in, and we're like powwow for 30, 40 minutes,
Yeah.
you know, and he's just like, oh, I'm trying to do this and that, and it's coming from here, and, you know, this is where I've been. He's been through some shit.
Yeah, same.
He's crazy.
Like,
And that dude, he's the oldest one out of all of us, but he's got the youngest spirit.
Yeah,
out of
for
everyone
sure.
here. Like you said, he just like comes in like a ball of energy, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that,
Put
you should do
music
this,
on,
you should do that.
uh.
It's just like, man, how do you have all this energy? Because like he's driving down here at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah, he drives
After
2 hours to
working
get
all
here, an
week.
hour to get here, whatever. You know, it's
That guy
He's on
continues
fire, man.
to impress every time, you
Yeah.
know, like he's definitely a force of nature, and we're all happy to have him part of this place.
A fountain of ideas. A never ending. Just.
Mhm.
yeah, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know, or at least you need that. every once
I
in a
hope I
while.
have that much energy at 49, man.
Yeah.
I know. I hope he's still around when I'm 49.
Oh,
Like,
I think he'll be gone. He'll
probably-
be around before
after-
we're all gone.
He'll outlive us all.
Yeah.
Probably.
Avelino's gonna be 140 years old, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, we could keep going, but I think,
Oh wow.
yeah.
It's been a minute.
We're already. What are we at?
Look at this. The audiobook is on YouTube. Thank you, G. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, for staying in tune with the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on his way to Portland right now,
Mm-hmm.
on the Amtrak.
Yeah.
So,
So,
maybe we'll
just
talk to
the-
him when he gets
Safe
back.
travels.
Safe travels. But
Safe
he's really
travels
with
to
us
you,
in
too,
spirits.
man. Yeah.
I made a joke that you're just gonna live on the train for the rest of your life painting pictures.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
She's not gonna come back.
Oh, like, don't give him any ideas.
Traveling artist.
We need you back,
We
man.
need you back. Yeah.
It's just a joke, all right?
Well, thanks, Patrick,
Yeah,
for
thank you, guys.
hanging out with us. Have
It's a
fun
pleasure.
in England, man.
Yeah.
London, Scotland,
Yeah.
everywhere you go. Enjoy it. Enjoy your family. And see,
Mm-hmm.
we got the Animal Kingdom
Ooh,
Yeah,
coming
right.
this
Check that out.
weekend. So once again, make sure to
Be there for me, please.
Yes. I mean, you're gonna be here on Friday, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But you're coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm gonna hold you to
I'm
that.
coming.
Hold you to
I
that.
swear.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I have
we're
a
gonna
round
take-
trip ticket,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
to do,
good.
bills to pay.
If you're not back in November, we're gonna start taking down your studio. I'm just saying.
As long as I don't know. Make use of it.
No, there's no way to put. You put too much work into that now. I don't even know how to get that stuff out there.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's in there.
So yeah, this weekend.
Yes, this
Get your
weekend.
tickets. Also next month we have another artist. T. Anderson's gonna be having his show. So we got a lot going on here at the shop.
Oh,
So stay tuned.
and hopefully we can get him into the podcast before
Yes.
that.
No. Yes. T will be on here very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna. That's why C's here. She's gonna help me keep this thing moving. We gotta thank Joey always for being the man behind the scenes here, taking care of us.
La
La
neta.
neta way. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you
Yes.
enjoyed this podcast. We really enjoyed talking today.
Yes.
It's been awesome,
Yeah.
and
That's
we'll
great.
see you guys on the next one.
Yeah.
This is the Shopcast.
831.
Like, subscribe, do it all.
Do all the things.